Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, no longer Los Angeles to be pseudo-specific. My name's Brian Engelman, and good morning. This is the TNAM AM Show here on the New American Media, TNAM, the TNAM AM Show here on the New American Media. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to discuss, it's almost Super Sunday. Almost. Who are you rooting for? 4 teams enter, 2 teams leave. Which one do you got? You got the Eagles, the Commanders? Do you have the Chiefs or the Bills? I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, so it's sad times for Brian. Wah, wah. Yes, it's sad times for Brian. But I will say this. I am excited for the possibility of a new city getting to celebrate. You know, I think it's fantastic when a new city can finally exorcise the demons of misery. Yes, it's been a long road for the Buffalo Bills, I'll say that much. Look, in my lifetime, the Washington Redskins won a championship, the Eagles have won a championship, and the Chiefs have won a ton of championships. And with the Chiefs, there always seems to be this accusation that the NFL is favoring them, and that stuff gets really old. It's not really competition if it's not a competition. If Las Vegas is controlling the outcome of the games, then that you lose the joy. As Kamala said, where's the joy? I'm a party of joy. I'm a candidate of joy. Derp. But what would bring me the most joy would be the Buffalo Bills getting to exercise the demon. Scott Norwood, wide right. Boy, I love losing Super Bowls. BILLS. All the jokes. It's been rough. Bills Mafia has been through it, and I certainly hope they win. I would ask you to check out our new program. We are at TNAM Football. TNAM at TNAM Football on X. At TNAM Football on X. We did a show, Jim Mitchell and co-host Mike Barra and I. We broke down what to expect. We kind of discussed the games last week, what we learned. Talked about the betting lines for this week. Jim is a Vegas handicapper, for fun, entertainment purposes only. But we offered advice on the betting lines and who do you like straight up. And so that would be our question of the day. Who would you like? These are 2 questions, actually. Who do you think will win the 2 games? Who would you like to see win the 2 games? Now, I just got back from Washington, D.C. for the New American Media. Please go to YouTube and Rumble, the New American Media, and check out our videos. Many more videos are coming. There's a lot to unpack, a lot to upload, a lot to edit. But we were in D.C. I'll never forget being in D.C. A lot of reasons. For the inauguration, we went out to the jail, often known as the D.C. Gulag. Had some interviews over there, including with Ashley Babbitt's mother, the only person shot and killed that day. And that video's there. Check it out. Yeah, it was tricky because there was an underlying tension of mistrust of the media. And you have no idea how quickly an interview can unravel if you say certain things. Now, in other circumstances, it's appropriate to kind of go at it. But I do take a cautious approach, I think would be a fair way to say it, when interviewing people sometimes. Sometimes I just want to hear their story. Tell me what it is that you want to say. Then there's pushback, there's follow-up, there's let me correct that for you. But in this case, I just wanted to hear her side of, where she's coming from, how this all started. But yeah, so we were outside of the jail, and 1 block away, just up this little hill, there was a sports bar, which was great because it was 8 degrees, I think, the last day we were there, and kept ducking in there to warm up. Ate some wings, had a beverage or two, and it was an Irish place. I think it was called Patty's. I mean, it was a fighting Irish bar. And the Ohio State Buckeyes, my Ohio State Buckeyes, no, I didn't go there, but that's a team I've rooted for most of my life. We played the Fighting Irish, so they had to play like a champion today. Sign on the wall. I got a picture next to it. I'm like, what is happening? So I got to root for my Buckeyes winning the national championship in an Irish bar a block away from the DC Gulag. I'm never going to forget this weekend. It's just being one of only 2, maybe there was a third. The entire place was packed, and I might have been one of 3 Buckeye fans, but we won, and I was happy about that. So yeah, check out those videos. Those will all be on the YouTube and Rumble page for the New American Media and the channel there. On X, we have 3 places to follow at American_media_. That is for this channel. At TNAM Football, that's the one where we do the Strictly Football show with Mike Barrett and myself, and we talk mostly strictly football. Try to stick to football, but Mike and I were opinionated people. We, just like any football fan, you're talking football, and then you go, bah, 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 bah. And also at The Unhappy Hour. That is the sports show for the New American Media. It was also interesting being in Washington, D.C. this week because the Commanders, Redskins, they upset the Detroit Football Lions, the number 1 seed in the NFC. They were a juggernaut of a team. They looked unbeatable. Was I going to say unbeatable? Me fail English? That's impossible. Question of the day. Me fail English? That's impossible. Who said that? Type it in the comments. However you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe. And I'll try to incorporate your comments into the show. And if any of you want to join the show, maybe because it's a special show, I'll take callers today. I can give you the link and you can jump in. I don't know. I'm getting used to this new concept, the TNAM AM Show. Waking up with you and seeing what's going on in the world of news. So let's just kind of start off with the NFL, shall we? There we go. Let's switch this out. We'll go full screen. So there it is, everybody. Look at all the teams that have been vanquished. Texans, Chargers, Ravens, Steelers, Broncos, gone. Lions, Rams, Vikings, Buccaneers, Packers, gone. We're down to 4 teams now. And look, Jalen Hurts on the Eagles, he's been dealing with some injury issues this year. It's the NFL. Everybody deals with injury issues, let's be honest. But that could definitely impact the game. And their passing attack has not been super stellar. In fact, they've been griping with each other a little bit about throw me the damn ball. So luckily for the Eagles, they have some playmakers on defense that can really be disruptive, game changers, in fact. But Saquon Barkley, first season out of New York, off of the Giants, man, oh man, is he having an MVP caliber season. Dude is just like, there's statistics. What do they say? There's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics. It's a pretty good quote. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. So you can unpack trends. You can unpack potentialities all day. But there's something intangible. What and Saquon Barkley is having a season of the ages. That's an intangible. That's an asterisk. That's a blinking light. It's like a bonus. It's an extra round. It's a wild card. What I was getting at with the DC thing, by the way, is I was there for the Buckeyes at an Irish bar. That was interesting. But the second point I was starting to get to was I'll always remember where I was for the inauguration, interviewing some people, doing some man on the street, filming some segments. But we were there when the Commanders knocked off the Lions. So there was an energy in Washington. People were selling Commanders hats and Commanders gloves, and people were excited. And I get excited for cities that haven't had the chance to experience that in a long time. I genuinely do like to root for sprinkling joy around the planet. I really do. In all honesty, when LeBron James signed to the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2015 and we had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love and we looked unbeatable. We were unbeatable in 2015, except Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving got injured, and we still took it to 6 games with LeBron and Dellavedova and Tristan Thompson. I mean, it was masterful watching that almost pull off the magic upset. We got the chip in 2016, but then the next 2 years they signed Kevin Durant. That was pretty doggone impossible. But in that case, I was rooting for the four-peat. I've thought for many years now that LeBron James is the most complete basketball player of all time, the greatest of all time. All things considered, there's a lot to factor in. Durability is a huge thing. Championships for 3 teams is a huge thing. Breaking the Cleveland curse is a huge thing. And I've always liked his game. I've always liked his court vision, his awareness, his passing ability. Not to take anything away from Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan is the GOAT 1B. I think LeBron is the GOAT 1A. You can dislike personality traits of both of them. That's fine. But I mean, on the court, I think they're great. So in that case, I was rooting for a Cleveland dynasty. And in fact, go back to the Cleveland Browns. We had a dynasty in the making when Art Modell, the owner of the team, ran off to Baltimore in the middle of the night. Remember, our 2 coaches, our defensive coordinator and our head coach, a couple unknown guys that it's not like they were going to bring a dynasty to us or anything. Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, that's what Cleveland was robbed of. It's not just that our team went away for a couple years. I mean, we had built a brain trust of awesome. We were in a fantastical position to get things done. And it was all taken away from us. That's the story of Cleveland. It's almost close, but no cigar. Oh, man. I know I'm talking about DC, but I wasn't making a Bill Clinton joke there about the cigar. Yes, I was, in hindsight. So I'll root for my teams to have a dynasty. I just don't want other teams to have a dynasty. And I'll tell you what, the Chiefs, I'm sick of it. I am sick and damn tired. And that's a personal thing for me. When the Browns made the playoffs, we played the Chiefs in the second round with a chance to go to the AFC Championship game this round. So 2 wins to win a Super Bowl. We were playing the Chiefs, and Dirty Dan Sorensen took a missile dive, crown of the helmet, went helmet to helmet on Hollywood Higgins, our receiver, who caught a pass from Baker Mayfield, dove for the touchdown. But instead, he hit him in the helmet. The penalty wasn't called. So the ball was fumbled through the end zone. It was a turnover. They got the ball instead of us getting 7 points, or at least getting the ball on the 1-yard line. Dirty Dan Sorensen getting ejected for targeting. Helmet to helmet hit, targeting, whatever it would be called, personal foul, ejected. The referees swallowed their whistle there, and that's a game that the Browns lost by less than 7. The entire timeline of the Cleveland Browns was changed by that. If we go to the AFC Championship game, I don't know that the Browns want to move on from Baker Mayfield the next year because of the injury and his not so great performance trying to play with one arm. I hold the Chiefs personally responsible for that. And I'm really tired of Jason Kelsey doing commercials for the jab. Tired of Taylor Swift. Maybe that's a curse. Every time you say her name, you break out into sneezing. Woo. Taylor sneeze. Oh, boy. What up, Kenneth? Everybody, however you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe. Share some shows to your friends, please. Much appreciated. What up, Chief? Yeah, I wish the Cleveland Indians could bring back our Chief. And I know a lot of Redskins fans that wish they could bring back their Chief. What does the brown note refer to, actually? There's a brewing company in Louisville that has a beer called the Brown Note. The artwork is pretty gross on it. I mean, so in that regard, it's talking about that. But I wonder, does it refer to anything else? But no, we're the Browns in honor of... The brown note is a mythical sound frequency said to cause people to defecate uncontrollably. There you go. That's exactly what it seems to be showing on their can of beer. Yes, we are the Cleveland Browns, named after Paul Brown. I think my brain might have almost said Jim Brown. That's not the case. So yeah, Josh Allen was in that draft class with Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold. Browns had the number 1 pick and went with him. And so Josh Allen is always kind of going to be used as a metric, a measuring stick. Yeah, Josh Allen. Doesn't he look like Chris? It's like not Hansen. What's that guy's name? From Guardians of the Galaxy. That actor. What's his name? Chris Pratt. There we go, Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt looks a lot like Josh Allen. So here's Josh Allen. Oh, wait, let me see if you can see this correctly. Let's full screen it. Okay, it's not going to let me do it. That's helpful. Thanks. Images. There we go. But yeah, right here, there's Chris Pratt. I'm sorry, that's Josh Allen is what I'm getting at. Doesn't he look like Chris Pratt? I think so. Do you? It's irrelevant. But when it comes to doppelgangers, I do think that stuff's interesting. But Josh Allen, much like Lamar Jackson, they've had stellar regular seasons repeatedly. But they've been unable so far to take the leap. Will they be able to now? Look, there's a lot of talent in the league, and I'm just really sick of thinking that that Patrick Mahomes is the only person worth paying attention to. I don't know who at the NFL thinks that we need this dynasty, that this needs to be jammed down our throats. We're tired of it. We're done. Nothing against the Chiefs particularly. It's just enough. And you've never seen a luckier team come out as a 1 seed than the Chiefs this year. Now look, what would you rather be? I'll honestly ask this question. Would you rather be like the Detroit Lions, put up some dominant performances and look unbeatable, but then get beat? Or would you rather eke some wins out by doinking a field goal off of the uprights? Maybe a lucky penalty flag, and the Chiefs seem to get every penalty flag in their favor, which seems to suggest that the NFL is rigging these games so that the Chiefs are jammed down your throat. But would you rather be a team that wins ugly and survives, or a team that has dominant wins and looks unbeatable that gets knocked out? Obviously, you want the durable team. And so Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have had some great regular seasons and then failures in the playoffs. Josh Allen has had some great regular seasons and some successes through the playoffs, but they've been unable to get to the Super Bowl. So the Ravens and Lamar and the Bills with Josh have been unable to reach the Super Bowl, same as Baker Mayfield. Baker's been in the playoffs twice with the Buccaneers. Was it twice with Cleveland? Once with Cleveland. Once or twice with Cleveland? But none of them have gone to the Super Bowl. Yeah, NFL, now freaking leftist. Yeah, they went super woke and super annoying, super preachy, super, during the 2020 riots. And they're still painting end zones and wearing stickers. And it's like, enough. I'm here for football. I'm here to get away from people yelling and screaming about things. There's a time and a place to use your voice in sports, obviously. But that time shouldn't be always. That place shouldn't be everywhere. It gets really annoying, especially when the whole 2020 stuff was based on a lot of incomplete and incorrect information. That's for another show. I've done that show before. Check out our archives. Quote the Ravens. See you next season. Edgar Allan. Wah, wah. So anyway, the question is, who are you rooting for? Kenneth, who do you want to see win? If I asked you that before, answer it again. Who are the two teams you would like to see in the Super Bowl? I'm going with the Bills. And on the NFC side, I don't hardly care. I don't really care. What I want to see is a good game. Look, if I can bookend this story of me being in DC and watching my Buckeyes win it while in DC, and then right after DC, maybe DC goes and wins a Super Bowl, that'd be a fun story for me to remember. If the Eagles win with Saquon Barkley, I mean, look, he wasn't good enough for the Giants to keep. The Giants drafting in the top 5. And now he's having a glow up. Good for him. So I'm rooting for a good game. Whoever comes out of the NFC, I got to be careful here. So if the Bills and Josh Allen win, I will be rooting for the Bills against whoever comes out of the NFC. If the Chiefs win, I'm going to root for whoever comes out of the NFC to win the Super Bowl. I just don't want to see the Chiefs. That's my number one thing. Sometimes in sports and in life and in politics, it's easier to identify what you're rooting against than what you're rooting for. And some of that can be unhealthy. Some of that can absolutely be unhealthy. I remember when LeBron James went to Miami, I was it's one thing to break up. It's another to get broken up with on live television. And then they're parading around the next day at their not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. We're going to win all these championships, LeBron said, with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And you're like, oh, I hate everything about this. I remember when LeBron and the Miami Cheat, we called them Cheat because they colluded to all join a super team together in the offseason. The Heat, they played the Dallas Mavericks. We called them the Cavricks or the Mavaliers because everybody in Cleveland was rooting for LeBron to lose. And rooting against something is a powerful thing. I've rooted against the Patriots quite strongly. I've rooted against the Ravens and against the Steelers. Those are pretty much the teams I root against the most. But the following season, when LeBron did win that championship, I was able to just my mentality changed. I just went, all right, whatever. And I was finally able to bury that hate. It can be quite unhealthy, seething and shrieking and raging against something. Now, in politics, we do the same thing. We rage against certain things. We know what we don't want. I knew what I didn't want in 2024. I did not want another 4 years or whatever the hell that shit show was. I wanted the exact opposite. Almost literally, I want the exact opposite. But on the same token, I saw potential in what America could be under new leadership. I saw that there was actually some hope to be had. And I was actually rooting for something in that case. And so, it's interesting. We get caught up and hung up on things, and sometimes it's good to take a step back, catch your breath, and regroup. And I think America has done that. Not Super Bowl Sunday for Kenneth. It's going to be doable Sunday. All right. All right now. All right. Okay, let me jump into the news. Once again, question of the day, which two teams would you like to see in the Super Bowl? Let's go side by side here. There we go. If you are not following the New American Media on X, do so. We are on Instagram. We are the New American Media, also the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. And so on the TNAM AM Show, we kind of unpack the cool stories that we found, interesting stories that we found on Instagram. So here's Pete Hegseth sworn in. There's J.D. Vance. He cast the tie-breaking vote, and now he has been confirmed as a Secretary of Defense. And this is the mantra that everybody should have, in football. Definitely as your commander-in-chief for the, I'm sorry, not commander-in-chief, but the commander of the Defense Department, the head, the Secretary of Defense. Sorry, I'm mixing a lot of things together this morning. But this is exactly the mentality you need to have. And I like what he's saying. Is he going to be capable of delivering, and is he going to be successful? Time will tell, but this is exactly what I wanted to hear.
We don't want to fight wars. We want to deter them, as you said.
We don't want to fight wars. We want to deter them. Brilliant. That is peace through strength. I like that.
And we want to end them responsibly. But if we need to fight them, we're going to bring overwhelming and decisive force to close with and destroy the enemy and bring our boys home.
Bravo. But if we need to fight, you better fight like you're the third monkey walking up Noah's Ark, walking up the ramp to Noah's Ark.
You know that Noah's Ark is not possible. You know that's a fable. There's no God either.
Things can be metaphors and factual. And actually, if you want to look into the ancient alien theory, it's not like you literally had a menagerie on this boat and it was like a zoo. Maybe it was the DNA of these animals that were saved when everything was flooded. Come on, think a little broader. Anyway, that's a whole religious conversation we can have on another day. But yeah, you fight like you're the third monkey trying to get up there on that ark. There's room for two. If you're going to get in a fight, you fight with overwhelming force. You try to avoid fights every time. But if it becomes time to fight, you fight with overwhelming.
Is holding
President Trump to hold a rally in Vegas addressing his no tax on tips policy. By the way, follow Toria Brooke. I think I said real Toria Brooke. She's a good follow. I like just kind of unpack it. She'll do 10 stories in a row, and I think they're usually it's a pretty good snapshot of what's going on in the day. Holding a rally in Las Vegas addressing his no tax on 100% policy. I'm a fan of that.
% of your tip income and not be.
Okay, this is from the 23rd. That's a couple days ago. I think this was all overshadowed with the North Carolina and Los Angeles Trump going into basically destroy and rebuild FEMA. Actually start helping people instead of just bogging everything down with bureaucracy. But yeah, no tax on tips. What are we doing with these taxes anyway? Enough with the taxes. Let us be prosperous. Stop. You're taking money just to run up a $36 trillion credit card tab. You're cut off. You don't get any more money from us. What are you doing? You cannot be trusted as a financial steward in America. And if you can't be a trusted steward of the money, you're done. You're fired. You cannot keep doing this. You cannot keep running up our debt. Grit on the gridiron. What's up, Grit on the gridiron? How are you? First time seeing you. We brought you in with the football, and now we're just kind of going through what's going on in the news. So, you know, if it gets political, it is political. Life is political. But on this show, we agree to disagree. But, you know, open and honest, fun conversation. We can talk football all day if you got interesting takes. Grit on the gridiron saying Commanders versus Chiefs. I want to see a rookie take down the best. Well, the best is Baker Mayfield. And the rookie already took him down. So I think you already accomplished that. I'm a huge Baker Mayfield fan. And I hated seeing Baker get beat by the Commanders. I mean, Commanders beat the Lions. They're legit. It's not like Baker sucked in that game either. It's just they lost to a pretty good team. I always root for Buckeyes, and Terry McLaurin being on that team makes me want to root for them. For sure. So you want Commanders versus Chiefs? I'm cool with that. Kenneth is proposing Chiefs versus the Queefs. Okay, Kenneth, enough of that. You and your brown out, and you're on one today. You're on one. Trumpadon. Oh, there you go. You're equating Donald Trump to being the head coach. I like this. Is he the owner? Is he the general manager? Is he the head coach? In regards to game day, yes, he has selected he's putting them in position. You're the starter. Let's go. But in football, there is, like, you have to work with the general manager to make the contracts work. You could have meddling owners. Remember Daniel Snyder. Read that report that he's furious that the Commanders are doing well. I don't know if that's the case. But he was ran out of the NFL. Donald Sterling was run out of the NBA. Maybe correctly so, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, head coach Trump. You got me thinking about this analogy. Yeah, I mean, but you could also look at it like a general manager, because I play fantasy football, and sometimes we have teams where owners of the teams will say, I'm not going to be able to play anymore. You can sell my team. And someone will come in and they take over whatever the team happens to be. And you're like, ugh, look at this roster. I'm in salary cap hell. We're devoid of talent at quarterback. We don't have playmakers on defense. Ugh. It takes a while to turn things around. But every now and then, you get a head coach that turns things around, or a general manager, an owner in fantasy football. You have a great draft, make a couple of free agent signings, you recruit well, you coach up your talent well, you implement better schemes and systems that the players can maximize their productivity on. And yes, a head coach can make a huge difference. By the way, Bill Belichick has not signed his offer, according to some reports, in North Carolina. And people were wondering, is he considering joining the NFL? People were wondering, the Dallas Cowboys, would they want him? They hired Brian Schottenheimer, so that's off the table. Kenneth plays fantasy pocket pool. No, I do like playing fantasy football. I might drop out of one league next year. Just trying to consolidate my rooting interests. I might leave that one league and then start another dynasty league. Maybe swap that for dynasty league number 3. We'll see. If you have any interest, reach out. Let me know. Okay, so let's see. In your you're saying Trumpadon. Trump is the head coach. Tom Homan is the defensive coordinator. Ooh, I like this. Yeah, Homan, Kristi Noem. Hey, she is going to be running the Department of Homeland Security. So Tom Homan, assistant defensive coordinator. Kristi Noem, assistant defensive coordinator, co-defensive coordinators. That's a good analogy there. I like that. And Elon is the offensive coordinator. I think with Elon and Doge, to be a good general manager, obviously, like, you have to identify talent. So maybe in that regard, that's more Trump kind of selecting the people. But in the regards of salary cap management, which is essentially the front office of football teams, they're lawyers. You have to negotiate contracts. You're really working against the salary cap, what your owner is allowing you to spend. So Doge might be general manager, at least as far as the bean counting aspect of it. But yeah, with Doge, I mean, look, Elon thinks of things and creates things. He also looks at stuff and says, you don't need that. Yeah, it's interesting. Kenneth he no longer lives in the state of tax us. Tax us. Yeah, a lot of people moved to Texas because of the taxes. All right, let's hear what President Trump had to say in Vegas.
Be harassed.
Trump's trip to Las Vegas.
I think he's saying that well, I think it'll repeat and play at the beginning, but he said about people shouldn't be harassed over their tips.
Comes after he toured the storm-ravaged state of North Carolina on Friday.
Thank you to President Trump, by the way, to everybody out there watching. If you have not seen our documentary on Hurricane Helene, it's called Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. Blake Wally and I traveled to Southern Virginia, met up with Grizzly, and he took us through Southern Virginia into Tennessee and into North Carolina. So check out that documentary on Rumble and YouTube, The New American Media.
He also
So I'm very happy that he is putting attention on this disaster. He's taking over a disastrous team. And this is your head coach, your new GM, your new owner. However you want to define it, Trump is in charge of this football team. He's like, we have a mess to clean up over here. My previous coach, he shit the bed. But I'm working with Gavin. Some say Slick Willie. I say American Psycho. Gavin Newsom. Some say New Scum. But I'll work with him now. No more Delta. He who smelt it, dealt it. I just thought of that. And it's funny because I do the big breathing. They say, sir, what's with the deep inhales? I say, I'm breathing in oxygen and pumping out awesomeness.
visited California, where he was greeted at the tarmac in Los Angeles by the state's governor, Gavin Newsom. The two have sparred.
Some say new scum.
Over the state's response to the wildfires, but Trump appeared to soften his tone on Friday, saying he had a very positive talk with Newsom. You can see some firefighters here. I don't know if we can go to that video of LA fire crews chanting USA, USA as Trump arrived. Trump and LA Mayor Karen Bass, though, had a testy exchange over letting people back into their homes.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Having lived in Los Angeles for several years, my heart breaks for these people. I want action. I want things to happen. This is the right president for this time. No more of this meandering bureaucracy. Let's get to work.
I have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked,
signed
I mean,
an
you have a very
emergency
powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and you
Yes.
can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
100% of your tip income and not be harassed.
There you go. That was, he wants you to have 100% of your tip income and not be harassed over it. And look, don't forget about Donald Trump. He's a hospitality boss. He's a hospitality manager. You don't run these hotels, these fancy properties, these casinos, hotels, bars. He's one of the biggest hospitality bosses on earth. He knows what it's like to be a server, a bartender. You're working off of tips. Sometimes they are good and sometimes they're not. And it's goofy how the federal government tried to, well, you sold this much stuff. We're going to tax you at this rate, regardless of what you actually earned. And also taxes, tips are tips. Tips are gifts. You know, I mean, you kind of roll the dice on, am I going to be tipped consistently? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. So yeah, Trump understands that. And the best part about I don't know, it's hard to think about the best part about Trump, but like he told you 200 things that he wanted to do, and he's doing them. What, over 200 executive orders now? Just get to work. Go. God, you got a lot of mess to clean up. The Cleveland Browns have been a mess. There's a lot to clean up on that team. Get to work. And he's telling Karen Bass, like the GM or the owner, like, I got to get to work. Like, let's go. Well, you know, maybe in a week we'll talk. A week's a long time. Let's do it in 24 hours. Let's go. We want to get started, but we can't if you're in the way. Grit on the gridiron. By the way, hit like, hit subscribe, hit some thumbs up, please. Silly rabbit. Tips are for kids. Nice, Kenneth. Grit on the gridiron saying, I didn't expect an in-depth breakdown of that. 'Twas great. Well, then subscribe, buddy. Subscribe. What's your name, by the way? I'm Brian. That's Kenneth. And we gather to talk about the news all the time. All right, let's roll to the next one here. This is from the Insider paper. Mexico is now ready to work with the United States to receive its deported citizens. What does that mean? Through the foreign ministry? Well, you damn well better. All right, here you go. The U.S. has reportedly shared classified intelligence with Syria's new leadership to prevent ISIS attacks since the Biden administration. In at least one case, the intelligence is known to have helped. Authorities prevented an ISIS attack on the Al-Saida Zainab compound in Damascus on Jan 11, according to the Washington Post. Yeah, I'm very curious to see this whole Syria, ISIS, Ukraine, Zelensky crap, funding Hamas or Hezbollah through Iran to go start a war in Gaza. I am very interested to see how quickly these things change. You remember under Barack Hussein Obama and his Obama doctrine of global chaos and forced mass migration under the disguise of humanitarian need. No, it was permanent population change is what you were going for. And it's being rejected and people are going home. But yeah, it was for 8 years. It's like, oh, ISIS, ISIS, ISIL, 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 ISIS, ISIS, ISIL, ISIL. Yeah, him and McCain worked to create that. Oh, no, we're going to back the moderate rebels. Oh, we have to go into Syria. See, Assad gassed his own people. Did he, though? Did he? Did he? Assad gassed his own people. Okay. Cool story, bro. They have a fascination. The Obamas, the Victoria Newlands, the deep state, the military-industrial complex. Oh, just got to stay at war and be at war. I'm very curious to see what happens with Syria's new leadership. By many accounts, they're not great. Are they better than what was there? I don't know. Remember when South Park talked about voting being a choice between a giant turd, no, a giant douche and a turd sandwich. I eventually figured that one out. So I'm very curious to keep my eyes on Syria, ISIS, Zelensky, Ukraine, Putin, Russia, Gaza, Hamas, Palestine, Israel. Very curious. And by the way, speaking of Israel, I'm very curious to get the real files, if we ever can. RFK, MLK, JFK, 9/11. Let's dump it all on the table and figure out what's going on. I'm all for, look, and some people are saying, well, you can't be for American expansionism. We're just going to end up in the three global entities from George Orwell's 1984. What is it? Eurasia, East Asia. What is that? Three countries in 1984. There we go. Oceania, Eurasia, and East Asia. And maybe some of this is unavoidable. Maybe some of it is unavoidable. But by the way, to the people that think, oh, it's so stupid what Trump's doing. He's changing Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Whoever said that had to be the Gulf of Mexico? If you look at the map, the United States curves around and it wraps the bottom end of Florida all the way up, wrapping around through Texas. That's our Gulf. Call it the Gulf of America. Now, I don't want to go invade Greenland with military force and seize their property. Let me be clear. 1,000 points of light. I want to be clear. Like Jen Psaki or Corinne Jean-Pierre. Let me be clear. That's usually code for whatever's about to happen next, whatever I'm about to say next will not be clear or informative. But yeah, I like it. I like calling it the Gulf of America, and I'm all for working out an arrangement where maybe Greenland could, if not become the 51st state, maybe they could be a province, a territory. I mean, how many territories do the United States have? A lot. You find a working agreement and you work with them and you make their lives better and you make it better for us. I mean, look, the Louisiana Purchase, Hawaii, Alaska, Seward's Folly. Oh, like what a goofy mistake that was. It's like, no, Alaska can be a super important part of world affairs. I'm also waiting for countries to start taking their trash, compacting it into cubes, building some foundations, and raising new continents. I've seen floating libertarian cities. Some of the PayPal founders, forget the guy's name off the top of my head. I don't think it was Larry Ellison. Oracle. They're all kind of blurring together, but floating libertarian cities that don't really have, that are not really bound by any country's laws and regulations and restrictions. I've seen in Dubai where they've done just that, and they've elevated now like these hotel chains. If you look from above, they look like palm trees. It's all artificial land. But those cases aside, it's not like they're making any more land. So if you got a chance to add Greenland, and it's right, if you look at the map, maybe I'll share this tab instead here. I want it large. Can't go large. Okay. Not going to let me go large. That was less than helpful. There we go. Thank you. So we got Oceania. And then we got Eurasia. Then we got East Asia. Looks like Oceania's winning. Winning. But look, the United States here, it kind of bumps down into some of these islands that we have partnerships with, agreements with. We have Alaska. This landmass, you got Greenland up here. You want Greenland. You want this. Mexico is essentially run by the drug cartels, and Canada has been taken over by... Oh, I'm not you're not seeing the screen I'm seeing. Hang on, I went to another screen. There we go. Sorry, I was doing a whole display here. Can you see my cursor on the screen? But it makes sense. It makes sense to work with Greenland if that's a possibility. And it's been on the minds of Trump and his team for many years, so maybe there is a possibility. I'm all about expansionism if we can make a deal. If we can make a purchase, a partnership. I think it's logistically, strategically, I think it makes a lot of sense. A lot of resources there. So, question of the day. Can you see my cursor on the screen? Oh, yeah, you can. Okay, good. I'm watching on the monitor here. What I was saying, the United States here, this is the Gulf of America. We kind of wrap the whole thing. Mexico only has from here to here. We have all of that. Why not call it the Gulf of America? America here, Hawaii here, Alaska here. It kind of makes sense to consolidate this. Problem being, when Canada, under Trudeau, they're taking away their citizens' guns. Hell no. Hell no. You need to be smart. You need to be strong. And you need strong neighbors to your north and south. Right now, narco cartels are running the South, and a goofy globalist traitor, civil rights violator, has run Canada into the ground. Make Canada great again. Make Mexico great again. So, hey, I'm open to some suggestions and ideas. I'm not open to starting a war. to invade a sovereign nation. Let me be clear. Yeah, we do currently live in Greedland. Funny joke I heard about once Trump takes over, it won't be called Greenland, it'll be called Orangeland. Kenneth also saying once free energy happens, you can live nearly anywhere. Yeah, my God. The energy bills that I've had are through the stinking roof. Not happy about this. I feel like the prices have skyrocketed. So let's get that under control, shall we? All right, let's continue through the news. This right here, Hamas is releasing footage showing the second batch of Israeli hostages being freed. That's the story. That's kind of all I have to say about it. You can read in the comments all of the other disgusting theories, and I'm not even going to go there. But I am, for the record, in favor of releasing the people that were just hanging out at a music festival and they've been stolen for a year. Definitely in favor of that. Yeah, here's more footage showing the second batch of Israeli hostages being freed. I'm all for that. End this shit now. Stop it. Dad's coming home and he's pissed. That's Trump. Yeah, there you go. Trump's coming in like a dust storm. I don't know exactly what the symbolism here is in this, but it's an interesting picture. Okay, there was a March for Life. I don't know what else you want me to say except JD. Yeah, this screen here. Let me take the chat overlay off for a second, or let me go like that. That's fine. I'm at the bottom. You know I'm here. They had a rally for life, a march for life, and a lot of people say we want more American babies. You know, you definitely don't need to flood our country with non-Americans if we have more American babies. The replacement rate has been miserable. And that's partially because the Federal Reserve banking cartel, the private banking cartel that has, who the hell are they to take our own money created out of thin air and loan it to us at interest? And you digitize so much of it that our money becomes worth less than it was and eventually worthless. Get the hell out of here. This is our country. Our dollars should have 100 times the purchasing power. Shit should not be this expensive to just get by. We're on an inflationary crash course. So let's fix that. The reason I bring that up is because how are you going to have a family? People are terrified of being able to afford a family. How can you afford a kid when you can barely afford yourself? And that's been an ongoing problem for a while. It's easy for super rich people like Elon or Harrison Butker to be like, hey, go out there and have kids and raise a family. It's like, are you paying? Where's the money coming from? It used to be relatively easy to own a house. You and your wife. Your wife could stay home and teach the kids, raise the kids, teach them manners and respect and decency, morals, values, skills. Dad would be out working. Yeah, what a trick that was. We need equality, women in the workplace. Yay. Now, yes, anybody should be able to enter the workplace. You shouldn't be banned or prohibited from it. But you're telling me the system where you got to manage a household, that was worse than going to be somebody's slave all day, stressed out, gaining weight, losing hair, hypertension, erratic heartbeat, stress to the max, can't sleep at night, high pressure, high energy job. See, the men used to go put up with that shit because at home, there was a queen who was dominating the homestead, raising the kids, handling all of the issues. Oh, you want a maid? No. If you want it so bad, you go out and work. I'll stay home and manage the household. I know it's a ton of work to keep it clean, to keep everything stocked, to keep all the bills paid, to raise the kids, the cats, dealing with contractors to fix things, managing repairs and renovations. It's work. I don't know whoever said that's not work. So if the money's worth more, You can have more families stay intact because money is one of the biggest indicators, one of the biggest reasons why marriages fail. Always has been, always will be. So if the money purchased more in America, yes, we should be living better. But people like Obama's, I was going to say 9 derogatory things there. He's someone like Trudeau. Oh, no, America's had it too good for too long. We need to steal from America. We need to ring up debt, which makes your dollars worth less, which means it's harder for you to pay every single bill you have, so we can give our money to all these other countries and we can money launder it. Make sure you give 10% to the big guy. Make sure we find this real complicated web of book publishing deals and consultant roles, kickbacks, non-governmental organizations getting funded, and they fund other people and they kick people back. It's all an orgy of money laundering and theft. Yeah, I want to stop all that. I want this country to kick ass. I don't want to go destroy another country just so I can loot and plunder their resources. Sadly, the United States, run by the cartels inside America, the alphabet agencies, the military-industrial complex that may or may not have taken out JFK because of a Cuba false flag that he didn't want to participate in. There's a lot of theories. Yeah, I want this country to kick ass. I'm done. I'm done watching what's happening and just passing it off as, I guess that's just the way it is. Anyway, back to having kids. The left-leaning news site, The Skim, just purchased the reproductive rights post-Roe versus Wade government page that was taken down by President Trump administration. So it was reproductiverights.gov. Went offline, and then it's going to redirect to The Skim. So, reproductive rights is about banging without consequence and killing your kids. I don't know. It's sad when that happens. America does need more American babies. So that's what I wanted to tell you about that. All right, moving on. Here is Bobby talking about his family, the Kennedys. My uncle, John Kennedy.
He realized early on that the purpose of the CIA and the intelligence apparatus was to create a constant pipeline of new wars. Eisenhower, who is the outgoing president, gave what is probably the most important speech in American history, which was, where he warned against the military-industrial complex. I was at my uncle's inauguration. I was in Washington that day, a 6-year-old boy. And 2 months later, the military and intelligence came to him and said, we got to invade Cuba. And he was like, I'm not going to Cuba, and I'm not going to let the military. And they said, well, we got all these Cubans trained, and they're going to go attack Castro. And he said, well, the U.S. government can't be doing that. I don't like what Castro's doing down there, but it's not the United States' job to dictate what kind of governments other countries have. And they said, well, as soon as they land, there's going to be a big revolution. Everybody's going to rise up and they're going to overthrow Castro. And he said, well, you can't use the U.S. military. And they ended up bringing those guys over. And in the middle of it, in the night, they came to him and said, they're getting wiped out on the beach and you need to send in the military and invade. And he said, we're not going to do it. He stepped out of that meeting and he realized they had been lying to him and trying to trick him. And he said, I want to take the CIA and shatter it into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds. For the next 1,000 days of his presidency, he was at war with his military and intelligence apparatus. They tried to get him to go into Laos. He said no. They tried to get him to go into Vietnam. They said that we need 250,000 combat troops. He refused. Everybody around him wanted him to go into Vietnam. He sent 16,000 military advisors. They weren't allowed to fight. Many of them did. They both violated the rules of engagement. In October of 1963, he heard some of his Green Berets had been killed over there. And he said, I want a total casualty list from Vietnam. And his aide came to him and said, 75 Americans have died. He said, that's too many. And he signed that day a national security order ordering all troops out of Vietnam, U.S. troops. And then a month later, he was killed. My uncle, John Kennedy, he realized early.
I feel like I said a lot of what he just said there, but come on, people, do better. It feels like you're fighting an insurmountable rat's nest of corruption and destruction. And it's all so stupid. Here they come to snuff the rooster. You know, the Vietnam generation, people that went to Iraq twice. You know, if you're going to sign up to serve the military and be defending America, why don't you patrol off the coastlines? Why don't you patrol at the borders? Keep our country safe. I don't like playing Team America World Police. It's bullshit. I mean, geez, as soon as Biden came in, it was like Afghanistan was given back to the bad guys. People dying over there. Americans dying over there. Like I said, funding Hezbollah, funding Iran, who funds Hezbollah, who launches a war in Gaza. Like, what the hell? That's what happens with the absence of leadership. Or worse, the Obama, Victoria Nuland, Joe Biden, Burisma, Ukrainian scam taking control. It's a shame that President Trump didn't get his term from 2020 to 24. We all saw the landslide. We're watching the news like, all right, they're going to call it any second now. I remember pouring the whiskey, doing a live stream, like, hey, you know, ready to cheers. Like, here we go. Term number 2. Let's get going. Let's get to work. And then all those 7 fraud states, they call them swing states, magically paused to flip hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of votes. It's a shame, the destruction that happened because Barack Obama, puppet master, George Soros puppet master with Joe Biden on puppet strings, that he was able to cause so much destruction, and the repercussions are real. But you're seeing such a difference in just week 1 back on the job. I really hope President Trump can find a way to and with Elon and Doge, to reimagine what the military is. You don't need to have a military industrial complex. But the problem is they produce all this stuff and then you buy it and then you got to use it and then it starts going bad or it becomes obsolete and you can't sell more of it if you have stockpiles. So you got to use the stockpiles. How do you use the stockpiles? I don't know. We got to blow some shit up and kill a couple 100,000 people. I hate that. Don't you hate that? We should all hate that. Kenneth saying, yeah, can't afford to live alone. Dude. Dude. That part. It's tricky. Yeah, you're right. You used to be able to buy a home out of a Sears catalog. It used to be affordable. Yeah, I remember in college, I was looking at houses after I graduated. And I looked at one. I believe it was a Sears catalog home. Really nice home. Wraparound porch and stuff. I think it was. Yeah, the ladies had it made. Robbing Peter to pay, not Paul, pay the bills. This really is like a 007 film, though, Kenneth. You know, art imitates life. It's just, I think there's got to be a better way. And I'm rooting for the golden age to be here. I really hope we're headed toward better days. And I'm ready to get
Uncle John.
Ready to get the truth on what happened to the police. Here's something interesting that happened. Let's play this. Suspects in the Joe Burrow.
How you guys doing? When you change lanes, you're using your
They had a routine traffic stop, and here's what happened from January 10th.
turn signal, but you got to make sure that you do that before you get into the lanes, okay? All right, not a big deal, okay? We're not going to give you a ticket or anything like that for it, okay? But you got to make sure that when you change lanes, you do that, okay? Where are you guys headed to today, sir? Where are you going? What is that? Going to Vas? Where? Orlando? Wrong way. Florida's that way.
By the way, that's why you don't answer questions. That's also if you're innocent. I don't answer questions. It's just, that's the easiest. I don't answer questions. Provide the documentation. That's what you do. Had they not answered questions, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But then they find Joe Burrow's belongings in there because they were robbing NFL players, professional athletes of all kinds, when they were away for games. You know, this criminal cartel, man, you got to get the bad people out of here. I am so excited about these deportations of criminals. We've got to clean America up.
John Mary Victor 4503. John Mary Victor 4503.
But in case this does turn into anything,
good for them, you know. That's some good police work right there.
did you read Miranda or anything? All right.
My partner said he found something inside the vehicle. I need to ask you about that. So before that, I'm going to read you your rights, though, okay? How you guys doing?
Wearing a Bengals hat, too. You're a Bengals fan stealing from the quarterback of the Bengals? Yeah, instead of the brown note, how about the golden note? This note will... I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? That's your golden note right there. All right, so there's an update on that. Good job stopping that. Here's an update from the border.
We're broadcasting out of El Paso, Texas, guys. Breaking news. I want to let you guys know that the El Paso sector has now begun building the U.S. southern border wall in downtown El Paso, Texas.
And I played this clip on yesterday.
We're broadcasting.
So I won't play it again, but that's a good thing. Get to work. This should have been done from the beginning. Here's RFK Jr. on the Trump trials.
You think that that's the right move to declassify those?
I think it's a great move because we need to have more transparency in our government, and he's keeping his promise to have the government tell the truth to the American people about everything. President Trump.
Super excited about that as well. All right, next.
President Trump.
Pretty boy Gavin Newsom.
We played this yesterday.
I'm glad Trump's here at the moment. You know, it's like daddy arrived and he's taking his belt off, you know.
So we're declaring this a national emergency. By doing that, I can give you immediate permits. I'd ask that the local...
It's mind-boggling that people continue to vote this way. I'm still trying to understand.
Anyway, sorry.
Larry Ellison, head of...
Okay, let me mute this. Just stick and play. All right. Played that yesterday. Played this one yesterday. Played Stephen A. Smith yesterday. The truth coming out, of course. Yeah, John Kerry saying in 5 years we're going to have the first ice-free Arctic summer. Okay. Nice scare tactics. Andrew Schultz saying Trump is going to be president forever. Talking about children being forced into gender reassignment and parents not having Yeah, at this rate, Trump will be president forever. You're going to get what you want. Of course, talking about Cuba, she traveled to Cuba. Karen Bass, getting her start in politics from the Vencinemos Brigade, a Marxist group from the U.S., in the U.S., funded by Cuba. Now she's running California or Los Angeles. Get her out. Yep, ICE is doing their job and fixing some stuff. Super excited for that. All right. What else did I want to discuss today? I think this was the last video that I showed yesterday. This is about directed energy weapons. I think Trump is ready to talk about it. This right here, they just found 75 to 80,000 kids. Where were they before? Why didn't... Oh, pardon me. Jeez, that came out of nowhere. I have a dump button, but I was on the different screen. And of course, Trump working on fixing FEMA. I read the Javier Milei thing yesterday and the Elon thing yesterday. More FEMA stories yesterday. This yesterday. Kristi Noem. Okay, this was the last one I shared. Okay, so I think I probably shared most of what I had to... Oh, good. I had to hit refresh. That's all that was happening here. Okay, this is big news. Let's go to President Trump. This is exactly how you want things. Not the Biden way, the American way.
When I immediately halted the hiring of any new IRS agents, they hired or tried to hire 88,000 new workers to go after you, and we're in the process of developing a plan to either terminate all of them or maybe we'll move them to the border. I think we're going to move them to the border. On day
I love how he floats ideas and based on the reaction, he's like, all right, I think that's what we're doing now.
On day
leaders lead. And one of the best qualities in leadership is listening. You got to have your finger on the pulse of what the people want. But, rarely do you find somebody. I think Jesse Ventura talked about, what I would like to see in government. What did he call it? He called it a democracy is flawed and corruptible. What I would like to see is a benevolent dictator who would govern and rule in the United States of America. His point being is that Congress gets in the way, things get blocked, things are corrupted. What you would ideally want, I was going to say ideologically speaking, what you would want, see, that's where that second phrase was coming in. What you would want is a king who cared. And that's dangerous. That's antithetical to what the United States is. But have we ever had somebody this wealthy with FU money, FME money, that could resist the extortion attempts, the blackmail, the lawfare, and the assassination attempts? Like, what you need is someone who's not going to be so easily trapped, like Epstein and Diddy. You do something and they're like, oh crap. They're like, well, here's the script. I want you to go out and give a press conference on this, or else we're going to release this tape. And you're like, oh man, I'm stuck forever, aren't I? Which is why I've put out there the idea of the National Apology Project. If you've been caught up and ensnared, send us a message. If you'd like to apologize, spill the beans before on your deathbed, before you go, say what happened, say why you did what you did, out the people that got you ensnared and trapped, send us a message. Brian@thenewamericanmedia.com. But yeah, that's interesting. Halt hiring 88,000 IRS agents and either terminate them or move them to the border.
You're looking at...
Here's an update from North Carolina, the Trump effect.
You're looking at the first piece of equipment, Operation Shelters, deploying to the disaster zone.
And this is Sean Hendricks, by the way.
We're headed up tomorrow to repair a road that's going to go up to a couple. One's had a stroke. The local EMS has said, we will not come up to you. The road's too bad. So we're going to fix this road for them. It's not a county road, so it's on them to fix it. And the cost to fix it's more than what their house is worth. So they have no choice but to either move or have somebody like Operation Shelter come in and fix this road. We'll be out there tomorrow. I'll give you guys some updates. We'll also have another really cool project starting tomorrow. You'll see that on the news. But anyhow, thanks for supporting us, and I'm excited to see this rebuild phase begin. And that's only possible because Trump's come out. FEMA's now doing what they're supposed to do and keeping people in hotels long enough that we can actually rebuild for these people instead of constantly being in crisis mode. So we're already seeing major changes, even if it's only been 2 days. Thanks, guys.
What a difference leadership can make. Bravo. Friggin' bravo.
You're looking at the first...
Let's see. Here's a good point from Walter Kim. 5 days ago, America didn't even know who the real president was. Now there's practically a live stream from the Oval Office, and President Trump seems to be at his... Yeah, there's like practically a live stream from the Oval Office. It never stops. And President Trump seems to be at his desk from 7 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. every day, signing documents and chatting with anyone who drops by. I am all for it. Same here. Here's a conversation with Tom Homan. Call it a hit piece. I don't know. If it's ABC, it's propaganda. It's garbage. ABC, ESPN, Disney, trash company. They put out the wackiest, divisive, leftist, deep state, garbaggio propaganda in the business. But I'm all for conversations. I'm all for having more conversations. Here's one of them.
I want to go back to those military flights going south. As you said, we have never seen that before. Is that going to be a constant commitment from the U.S. military every single day to take deportees out?
Yes.
So is this what we will see every single day, ending in what the president has promised is millions and millions being deported?
Yes. But you're going to see the number steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture. Right now it's concentrating public safety threats, national security threats. That's a smaller population. So we're going to do this on priority base, as President Trump's promised, but as that aperture opens, there'll be more arrests nationwide.
When you talk about the aperture opening, the estimates of perhaps those...
You can see the concerned tone that she's taking. She seems to really be almost against keeping America safe, which is a weird stance.
...who have been convicted or arrested in the past, 700,000 to over 1 million. So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table, because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime.
And by the way, I've visited other countries, multiple other places. You show up at the front door and you show your passport and you walk in. You don't break in, sneak in. Come on. What are the intentions of somebody that breaks in or sneaks into your home? I would suspect they're not good.
So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
I want to go back to those...
So that's happening. They are not wasting a single moment. They're working. Comedian Dave Smith. I need to reach out to Dave Smith. I met him at the Libertarian Convention. I was kind of impressed with how he handled himself with the Vivek Ramaswamy debate. He's a good voice. He's a really good voice out there. I'd love to unpack, sit down, have a really good chat with him on Agree to Disagree. But he puts out there, the people who championed lockdowns are now very sincerely concerned about concentrated power. Yeah, you don't want concentrated power. You force us all into lockdowns. Not buying it. You just root for your team regardless. This is the thing that you need to know. One of the many things you need to know about the January 6ers.
We believe that these are all violent people that beat police officers and tried to overthrow the government, unarmed, of course. Overthrow the government. The first
unarmed. There was never an insurrection. There was a mostly peaceful protest, and then some people did some things. Only shot fired that day went into Ashley Babbitt, an unarmed veteran mother of a different race. But that didn't get nonstop media coverage, did it?
First unarmed insurrection in world history, apparently.
Yeah, there's no unarmed insurrections. And the Trump crowd, trust me, had President Trump given the order to go seize that building, I think everything would have been different. That never happened. But Pelosi and Kinzinger and Cheney, these lying vermin scum, kept saying insurrection, year after year after year. All they do is divide, obstruct, loot and plunder, destroy. The Democrats need to be shattered into 1,000 pieces and scattered to the winds.
Apparently. We're just going through this momentous, monumental week. And so the chance to talk to some of these folks that have spent time, look, a lot of these folks who were in there, he was in there just shy of 4 years. He was incarcerated. I had people on my program, like I said, that had not even seen a trial.
That is such an insane part to this story. 4 years later, there's people who haven't even had a chance to go to trial. That is shit that was happening in the late 1700s that led to the revolution. You have the right, the human right, the American right to a fair and speedy trial. Keeping somebody locked away for 4 years, punishing them without proving they did anything worthy of that punishment. Oh my God, is that backwards? I was initially reticent, hesitant, reluctant to support a full blanket pardon. I was there on January 6th. Go on Rumble, go on YouTube, watch our footage. Actually, I don't know if I uploaded on Rumble. I got to do that. You know, it was a mostly peaceful protest, and then some people did some things. There was violence. People were hurt. A lot of people got hurt. But there's a lot that could be said about why that happened. Why were they chucking projectiles into the crowd that hadn't been violent at that point? Why were gates opened and doors opened to funnel people through that so you could ensnare them in a trap like Diddy or Epstein and then use it against them and try to ramp it up with all these escalators? Oh, no, now it's a terrorism escalator. It's like you walked in the people's house and you took a selfie. Oh, they stole property. Someone touched a table as it went past them. Somebody picked up a lectern. Someone took a picture. They walked 30 feet, set it down. Oh my gosh, head for the hills. Like, yeah, you can get slapped on the wrist. You could get a misdemeanor charge. You could get some community service, pay a $500 fine, put it on your permanent record and move along. But they tried to turn this into something it wasn't because they had to weaponize it against Trump because they knew that the people didn't believe what happened in 2020. They knew that the people showed up and said, no. My main concern, my main annoyance is that they were supposed to be debating the 7 fraud states, swing states, that paused their count and then waited long enough to keep counting, just enough to barely squeak Biden by. And every one of them toppled from red to blue. Everyone went from Trump to dirtbag Biden. They knew that the people weren't buying the fact that they just staged a coup to overthrow the sitting president of the United States. That's called treason. And so they had to work on this act. Pelosi and Bowser, the DC mayor, they turned down 15,000 National Guard support staff that President Trump was saying, hey, do this thing. Keep this safe. I want this to happen. I need you to authorize that. Nope. They stage it. They set him up. And when he's saying that these people have been incarcerated for 4 years without a trial for like misdemeanor crap, hell no. So that I was able to change my stance, or my stance evolved. I wasn't sure how I felt. I had mixed emotions because so many nonviolent, pseudo-innocent people. Oh my God, you can't go in there. All right, they walked in. How many times do you see state houses across Wisconsin, in DC? The leftists do similar things all the time. And it's never this big crisis. You have to have an equal enforcement under the law, or else there is no law. And there should be no penalties. And that's all free for all. It might as well just be the purge, right? So, in light of what he's talking about, that so many of these people, nonviolent, have been locked in a gulag with brown water, cockroaches, no heat. Screw that. Let them all out. Oh, and I did have a question. What's the over under? What's the percentage of J6ers, roughly 1,500, that were released who are going to get arrested again? I don't know if we can track that number. I'm curious. I don't want to see the people that were released go commit more crimes because I rail against this same thing. If you're committing violent crime, when I say violent crimes, I mean specifically raping people, murdering people, slashing people, like really just disgusting stuff. Like you really can go away forever, and I have no sympathy. But things that don't escalate to that level of depravity and monstrosity, yeah, you rehabilitate, you get a second chance. So I hope we don't see recidivism, but I don't think we're going to see a coup in this country again. I don't think we're going to see the deep state do this again. I don't think they'll ever get away with it again. But like I said, my annoyance was that Congress was supposed to be having the debate about the fraud states and saying, look, we can't certify this. We can't trust these 7 states. You had Trump winning. We're all ready to call. All right, it's official. Donald Trump has been reelected as president of the United States in 2020. And then everybody just got a phone call to pause their count at the same time, day after day, week after week, until you could install Biden. I don't anticipate that happening again. So I don't anticipate a J6 happening again. So I don't think these people are going to be in trouble again for doing something like that again. I could be wrong, and time will tell. But in light of so many non-violent, pseudo-innocent people that could have had their wrists slapped, got treated like terrorists, got treated like monsters and serial killers, yeah, I think you overcharged and overbullied those people, so you're going to undercharge and underbully these people. And by the way, the ones that got arrested and have been serving time for their acts and the violence they committed, they also have served 3-4 year terms. 2-3-4 year terms. They have been penalized. They have been punished. But that's a good point about how so many of these people didn't even receive a trial. That is unconscionable. The lawsuits that are going to come in for all these people, I mean, it might end up being a blessing in disguise to hit the lottery like that, in all honesty.
Had been there for 4 years. That's not how we run America, is it?
No, and you mentioned Jake Lang. I also really got to know Jake Lang and had him on a number of times. Never a trial for Jake Lang. No due process rights for Jake Lang. Solitary confinement for almost 1,000 days. Brutalized behind bars, beaten up. I mean, that's not America. That's a third world country. So they're going to have a massive lawsuit, Steve, over how they were treated. And they could very well be successful with that because they were targeted. And of course, you know, the Biden administration, their number one focus was to go after J6 protesters. I don't think they were concerned about all the thousands of illegals that were coming over every day, including, you know,
No, they weren't considered. They had no cares about the gang members coming in. They were bringing them in. They're kicking you out of the military and forcing you out of your job if you don't take this jab. But they'll let up to 30 million illegal alien invaders flood the country, no testing. That should tell you one of the 5 biggest things you need to know about J6 and COVID, right?
Gang members and terrorists. They just wanted to go after the J6 protesters, grandma.
Now it's time to go after the J6 fraudulent framing committee.
Pastor Bill, people that just walked in there. It was just insane. Never before in American history have we seen something like that. So
and I hope we never see it again. The deep state got over their skis. They thought they were going to get away with this. No, they didn't. I mean, unfortunately, they ruined America for 4 years in a row. Well, we had to figure out a way past it. Hopefully now we have figured a way past it.
got a good case, I think, with their lawsuit, and we'll see how it goes.
We believe that these are all.
So, yeah, that's important to know. All right, a couple more stories here, and we will wrap up today's program.
It is 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't believe this. They are not playing. They are working around the clock, 24/7, putting up this border. Look at them. They ain't playing. Man, we may not agree with everything with President Trump, but I'm going to tell you this right now. This is one thing I agree with him doing, is putting up this wall. Because enough is enough. Y'all don't understand. I live in Arizona. All right. Anywho.
I love seeing this. I hate that this can keep me in. But it's the reason you have doors on your home. You lock the door. Come on. It's the reason you have a security guy at your nightclub. You check the IDs. You collect the cover charge.
It is 2 o'clock.
So it's happening at rapid pace. Here's something to consider.
What are they going to do when you say that the world's going to end in 10 years? And
this is the climate crisis, the green fraud, the Green New Steel. It's money laundering, it's grift, it's theft, it's piracy. Yeah, we all want clean drinking water and clean air to breathe. That's a far cry from destroying your economy, looting and plundering from hardworking people, driving energy prices through the roof. It's a far cry from doing common sense stuff versus what the Democrats and the globalists have been pushing. And we pushed back. We're done with it.
And the world is overpopulated. So to solve the problem, we can't be having as many kids.
Yeah. Yeah. How many years have they told you the world's overpopulated? The world's overpopulated. The world's not. Population density is out of control in some areas. And in those areas, it would be very wise to implement some birth control and try to balance that. You can only jam so many more people into Mumbai, into the biggest cities in China, into Manhattan and Los Angeles. Like, there's only so many more people that can fit in these tiny areas. but we need replacement rate. Do we need it? I don't know if we need it. But when the workforce in America is so small because we're not having babies anymore, that you need to import cheap labor from countries unknown with agendas unknown to work the jobs that you don't want to work. Yeah, have more babies. Everybody works minimum wage jobs when you're a kid. That's the point. You build a talent stack. You flip burgers. You run the cash register. You're responsible for cashing out at night. There's 100 things that you do. You learn skills and you work your way up. That's what it means to be an American. We don't need non-Americans here doing that. Pay people properly and these jobs will be filled. But yeah, it's like, oh, carbon dioxide is the poison. We need to reduce the population. Here, put this thing inside of you. When they're on record talking about needing to reduce the population on the planet, Georgia Guidestone style. Yeah, I think these eugenicists, I think there's some real strange agendas at play to depopulate the planet.
Just seeing the way that they connect all these issues in their minds makes me really worried, because in communist China, they literally forced abortions onto anybody who had more than one child. Then they sterilized all the women that dared to get pregnant. So women were secretly having their kids and then keeping the kids in little tents and barns in the countryside. So this is not us like freaking out and creating some hypothesis of what could happen. This is actually what leftist regimes do, especially when they start running out of resources. We now have the Biden food shortage coming, and this is a classic step after leftist policies destroy a country. After they had the famine in China, they had no resources, and it resulted in the one-child policy. So this is disturbing. Leftism is evil. It's satanic. And I'm not surprised at all that now they're saying don't have kids.
Something to consider. Tell me where she's wrong. All right, here's a J6 prosecutor furrowing her brows. Whatever will they do now?
We're also seeing senior career staffers at the Justice Department, including people who have been seen as sort of the infrastructure of the department in terms of some of the ways some of the most complex areas of the law work. Essentially,
the complex areas that lawfare is employed to weaponize your own Justice Department against American citizens. Oh yeah. You think they're going to be gone? Deuces.
Actually shunted into all seemingly into the same office where they're all being told they're now going to work on prosecuting sanctuary cities or something, going after local jurisdictions that have proclaimed themselves to be opposed to the administration's approach to immigration law enforcement.
Yeah, that sounds very sensible. Are you saying it like that's not? Of course you do. That's lawlessness. That's insanity.
What do you think the impact of that will be? The intention seems to be to try to make all of those senior people quit.
That seems to be the intention. I think
the intention is to make those senior people quit. Well, you quit. You encourage some of them to quit, and then you fire as soon as you can.
The ground, and this last week, what it's done is it's just terrified people. Everyone is worried if they're going to be fired or moved. If the goal was to make the department more efficient, I think this had the contrary effect.
No. This is happening. It's going to be rebuilt. You have to take all the pieces apart. Gotta take all the Legos apart before you can rebuild it, because it's built incorrectly.
It's also, I mean, in my assessment, and I'm not part of this, but it's nonsensical. You have people who are subject matter experts in certain sections who have committed their lives.
Subject matter experts at engaging in lawfare on behalf of the deep state Democrats to weaponize their powers to abuse libertarians, constitutionalists, conservatives, Republicans, MAGA supporters. All right, good. Deuces. See ya. Sayonara.
To litigating certain subject matters and to pull them and to put them in a different unrelated section where they have no experience, no involvement, probably no interest.
No interest in doing legitimate stuff. What? They're interested in lawfare, working with Letitia James, working with Alvin Bragg, working with Judge Merchant, working with all of these corrupt agencies, working with the corrupt Jack Smith to raid Mar-a-Lago. You broke into the president's home and sniffed around in his wife's underwear drawer? Are you out of your mind? Yeah, those departments that have been up to that shit, you have no interest in actually defending America and doing the things that you're supposed to do, like protect our border, screen and filter every person that comes and goes so that you don't allow toxic humanity in to ruin Americans' lives. There's no good reason a rapist should be coming in here. There's no good reason a murderer should be coming in here. There's no good reason a gang member should be coming in here. Ever. Best of the best. Give us your week, your time. Nope. No. We're not doing that. That was a gift from France. It was inscribed on a thing. It worked in the 1800s, 1700s. When did they give it? 1800s? 1700s? When did they? Actually, now I'm curious. When did the Statue of Liberty come to America? Would be 1885. Yeah, best and brightest. That's what we want. Just like a college, the United States is a college. You have to have minimum requirements to get in. You don't just get in. You don't just dump every piece of humanity in here. We can't sustain it, can't afford it, and you need to have skills. You want to go to college? You got to do okay in high school. You don't need to be a valedictorian, maybe, but you should be good. You should have talents. You should not be a detriment. Why would you let someone come into college that's going to try to destroy the place? Violent people, crazy people, no thanks. The job of these people needs to be protecting America, not going after their political rivals.
Seems contrary to the mission of the department.
Yeah, and it seems deliberately intended to both insult and wound the department in this transition period. We're also seeing senior career staffers at the Justice Department.
Okay, yeah. Dinesh saying she evidently doesn't want Stalinist show trial specialists to be diverted to such unimportant tasks as prosecuting criminal illegals. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, Andrew Schultz, man, he's saying it.
It's going to be hard for them to get talent because they're so uncool right now.
The Democrats are the dorkiest group of people. The party is so lame. They are toxic. Please destroy the Democrat Party forever. Shatter it to 1,000 pieces. Cast those pieces to the wind. Toss them in the dustbin of history.
Like I don't know anybody. I don't know one man above like 5'9" that says they're a Democrat.
There's only one.
I honestly like males only males like under 5'9" that identify as a Democrat. They're like, I am a Democrat, like 100%. So, exactly.
I'm registered as an independent, and I'm 5'6", 5'7" on a good day.
Exactly. But it's a shorter guy thing. I don't know what it is. They just need protection.
I don't know if it's a shorter guy thing.
Have you met one dude 6'4" with a job who's just like, I'm a Democrat?
I would argue it's a gay.
I instantly thought of John Kerry Lurch. He's tall. He doesn't have a job though.
Hair guy thing.
It's for bottoms. Democrats are if for bottoms. It is more of a bottom thing. Imagine you're on a date and the guy on a date is like, I'm a Democrat. I just love, I want to chop off everybody's and just put them in my mouth or whatever Democratic rhetoric is. What else? Democratic Party.
Or whatever the Democrat rhetoric is. Under Obama, and yes, Obama ran the shadow presidency of Biden, his team. That was the rhetoric. That was what he was all about. Now his degeneracy is being brought to the forefront. ABC is trying to run a fake story, I think, with Jennifer Aniston as he divorces his spouse. Some call that person Michelle. Some call that person by other names. That was what they pushed, the Democrats. That was their talking point. For 12 of the last 16 years, it's been all about chopping things and things, and Andrew's kind of calling it out here.
Is for 5'8" and under men.
Oh, man.
And then it's for women like over 280. It's going to be hard for them to get talent because...
The Democrats are the party of short dudes and fat chicks. That's wild. The Real State of America says Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey is saying that if China does not pay $25 billion for the damage caused by COVID-19 to Americans, the United States will begin seizing their farmland within the country. Okay. Let's have that conversation. There he is, Attorney General Andrew Bailey. We demand $25 billion in penalties for the harm China caused to America during COVID-19. If they don't pay up, we'll start seizing Chinese assets like farmland instead. I tell me if you disagree. This is the former lead guitarist of the British band Mumford & Sons talking about how people are now being imprisoned in the UK and the European Union for wrongdoing.
A week ago, my lawyer back home called me up and said 2 of your tweets are technically illegal. You could be arrested when you return. That's not a joke. They've been clearing out the prisons to put in people now for literally Facebook memes. There's someone in prison right now. They cleared out the prisons, by the way, and actual offenders, criminal, violent offenders. One person reoffended the day he left. There's one guy in prison for a Facebook meme for 3 months. There's one woman who's doing 2.
Share a meme and get prison time? That is insane.
2.5 years for a tweet.
Make England great again. Woman's doing 2.5 years for what?
Tweet. Right? The free speech is in utter peril. It's a disgrace. It's not just England. It's the whole of Europe. It's unbelievably concerning.
Make Europe great again. We got to, come on. Let's work together. Fix Canada, fix Mexico, fix England. I'm not saying Team America World Police style. I mean culturally. Make it so dorky to be a deep state Democrat that nobody wants to be it. You rise up, you replace all these leaders, you recall them. This is another post here with the U.S. Army installing razor wire along the southern border.
Where you know the two strands are going to touch
Borders are right through.
This part of the border is secure.
You know, and there was so much pushback on the border. What was it, a couple $2 billion, and Joe Biden was money laundering a couple billion to Ukraine every couple weeks? Oh, we don't have money for it. Fuck you. Yeah, we do. We don't have money for your stupid global wars. We have money to secure our border. Every country I've gone to, I show them an ID. I'm not there to cause anybody any harm. I'm there to have a good time. I'm there to spend money. I'm there to see things. I'm there for great experiences. I should be allowed to travel by announcing who I am and, all right, I'll be cool in your place. You know, I mean, nobody any ill will. I'm here for good reasons. There are so many bad people coming in here for bad reasons. Potential sleeper cells. I don't think we're out of the woods with this yet, but this is a first start. Let's get it under control. It's nice to see. It's a great sound, isn't it? Sound of progress. What the world is taking on the way? Who in the world could be against this? An enemy. If the Democrats are against this, they're enemies. If the Republicans are against this, they're enemies. Vote them out.
Put it to where you know the two strands are going to touch.
Right through the center.
Yeah, you might have to put it lower. Good. Yeah.
Love to see it.
I'll just go a little bit further, all right?
It's about time we got serious about this. Now we got the northern border. Yeah, you have doors and windows on your place. Keep it safe. This might be the last one we have here. Just George is tweeting about Lynn Patton. She's going to serve as the director of minority outreach. And that was Obama's plan. He wanted to make certain demographics minorities. That was the Obama doctrine. You want Americans to become the minorities. You want Europeans to be minorities. You want to flood these countries with migrants, illegal alien invaders from Middle East, Africa, other places. So you want to replace the Scottish with non-Scottish, replace the English with non-English, replace Americans with non-Americans. They wanted to turn the majority into the minority because they figured demographically, if this goes a couple generations, it's multiplication. It's a exponential bell curve. It's going to go hyperbolic and forever alter the state of all these nations. Well, we've turned around. Anyway, Trump has appointed Lynn Patton to serve as the director of minority outreach to help him build even more support among Blacks, Latinos, Asians, and others. Her story with the Trump family is something special, and she says that they saved her life. Let's hear her story.
You've been with the Trump family longer than anyone.
So I think it's going on 16 years. And that's what makes it interesting is I've seen the family and how people treated them before politics and after. 16 years, started off running Eric Trump's charity for St. Jude, which he's raised over $40 million for at this point. He's raised 5 of the best kids I've ever known and had the honor to call friends.
All of his children are there for him. Every single one of them.
I always say it's not hyperbole. They truly saved my life. I relapsed with cocaine in 2012, I believe. I had already been working for them for about 4 or 5 years. You know, very high pressure job working for the largest real estate, company in the world at the time. When I relapsed, Eric Trump called me into his office, confronted me about my drug use. As I'm basically lying to his face, I'm fidgeting and I look up and he's got tears in his eyes. And that's when I just lost it. I started crying like a baby and I was like, "You're right." And he's like, "Lynn, you're better than this. We want you to get the help that you need." Laura Trump was on the phone, speakerphone. His brother and sister later, supported me in my endeavor, and I got some outpatient assistance. And then when their father still wanted me to work in Washington, I was just floored because they gave me another chance. And I don't think people see that side of this family enough. They were born and bred in this lifestyle, and they live, breathe, and eat it. But they're willing to walk away from all of that for this great country.
Please welcome to the stage, Eric Trump.
You just get the feeling that he cares, that he wants to fix stuff. You're talking with Oprah. It's like, I might run someday. Politics is bad. It's a terrible place to be. He's like, but if it ever reaches the point where someone needs to fix all this stuff, I'll do it. And that's the American spirit. It's like, I didn't want to join my HOA in Los Angeles, but stuff needed done. Nobody else was doing it. That's what you do. You see a need and you fill it. You fix it. It just seems like Trump actually cares. I never got the feeling that Obama cared. I felt like he was running a grift the whole time. Him and Biden. Super corrupt. Totally in bed with the military-industrial complex. Didn't care how many human souls were extinguished, either through abortion or world war. It was all about pushing agendas and destroying things and lowering American quality of life so you can money launder and get your favorite friends and non-governmental organizations and crappy countries, give them the money instead of fixing Maui and North Carolina. It's just everything felt backward with the Democrats. And Trump just seems like, we're here in America. Let's fix the things that need fixed. And let's innovate and try new things. Let's go. We're really fortunate to be on this timeline. So that is the story of Lynn Patton, and it's something to consider. All right. If you haven't followed the New American Media on Instagram, please do. The New American Media. Here is, he's steered by the hand of God. And I will never make an assumption thinking that Donald Trump is a perfect human. That's not the case. I think he's perfect for this time. I think he's perfect for now, for this day and age. And that's why we do what we do here. So please follow us in these locations. For those of you who are not watching, yes, steered by the hand of God. Those of you not watching, what I said was, please find the Facebook page, The New American Media, and the Facebook group, TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show. If you came here for sports today, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group, that is our Facebook group. On Instagram, we have 2 pages. One is The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. The other is The New American Media. On Truth Social, The New American Media. On X, at American_Media_. Our football show is at TNAM Football, at TNAM Football. Yes, Lord, guide and protect him. Please, both of those. Protect him first, then guide him. So we're at American_media_ on X, at TNAM Football on X. That's our football show, Strictly Football. Check out the latest episode. It kind of previews the games that we're going to see today. And at the Unhappy Hour _. Those are the places you can find us on X. Also, we are on Rumble at The New American Media. Please make sure you're following us. You can also find us on YouTube, 1,600, almost 1,700 videos on YouTube, The New American Media, and a page for the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. We have 2 podcasts on Spotify and other places, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show and the Agree to Disagree Show. So link up with us there, please. Those are the places. Where else? What else am I trying to show you? The ways that you could assist us by contributing to the New American Media on Patreon. We are the New American Media on Patreon. You can sign up for a couple bucks a month or a whole bunch of bucks a month. We would love all of it. The more that we have, the more that we can do. We're on Venmo at Brian Engelman, BrianEngelman. That's me. Thank you very much. And on PayPal at Fuzz Installment. F as in Frank, Fuzz Installment, INSTALLMENT, at Fuzz Installment on PayPal. Those are the ways you can support the New American Media. And I referenced the documentary from Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way, Grizzly and his people down there and their relief efforts. If you'd like to donate to Grizzly and his people, he's on Cash App, $ Fabled Remedies, FABLED Remedies, plural, REMEDIES 1, Fabled Remedies 1, over there on Cash App. So, all right, let's enjoy our day of football. Let's, I'm going to be uploading videos and editing content, so that'll be on tap for me today. But I appreciate every one of you for participating in the program and watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, share some of our stuff. And, we'll be back when we're back. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. All right, signing off for everybody out there in the TNAM AM universe, of course, including Kenneth. And what was our other gentleman's name? Grit on the Gridiron. Thank you both for joining us today. And everyone out there watching and listening. No, not the Unhappy with Shorts show. It's the Unhappy Hour Sports show. No, it's not the Unhappy with My Escort show. It's the Unhappy Hour Sports show. All right, signing out. Appreciate you. Love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take